is up, guys? Fight from RK here, and again, I've got with me
Glyphix. We're talking about X-Men. X-Men. Episode 3.
Good old 3. I think there's 5 episodes out right now.
There is 5. If you're currently watching this,
if you're watching it, stay tuned. We are going to be discussing all 5. You know, for the whole of RK, we have a lot of series coming out right now, so there's a lot being put out.
Yep.
X-Men will come out with 1 episode a week, and then second episode will more than likely be a movie trailer or Fallout series that we're doing with some of the other RK members. So stay tuned for that one. Yep. Yeah, let's get into it, man.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched episode 1, 2, go watch episode 1 and 2 of RK. But also go watch episode 1 and 2 of X-Men if you haven't watched that already.
And episode 3, because this one is a discussion directly about episode 3.
Go watch episode 3 if you haven't seen episode 3. All right.
If you haven't seen episode 3, just mute it, watch it all the way through, help us with the analytics, and then go watch it, come back, and listen to it all the way through again.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Ding, ding, ding.
All right, so where we left off on episode 2.
Yep.
Opens door.
Yep.
Jean Grey. Episode ends.
Yep.
Episode 3.
Yep.
Jean Grey. Beast doing some tests.
Yep.
Episode begins. Where do you want to start?
It feels like where it is a reoccurring issue. It's like episode 2 or 1 was about Beast doing tests. Wakes up. Hello, it's Beast. Dude, I think first and foremost, like having 2 genes is crazy.
Yeah.
I think the whole X-Men are shocked.
Yep.
How this even happened and occurred. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. Like if you were sitting down and like and your cousin or whoever was in front of you and then on top of that was the same person, would you freak out?
Oh, 100%. First of all, another me is scary as in itself.
You start questioning your life. You start questioning how long this person's been in my life.
I'm going to start questioning a lot more than my life. It's going to start questioning a lot of things.
Oh my goodness, bro.
But I mean, this is opening an interesting story, which I know you mentioned in episode 2 was things get crazy.
Yep.
And I remember watching through episode 3 and 4, just waiting on it to get really crazy because for me, this wasn't crazy. This wasn't too far out there. Just in the grand scheme of what all of MCU has done. Mm-hmm. There's been different dimensions. I mean, look at multiverses. We just had Spider-Man multiverses. So like, this isn't far out there really. And then also, I do know a little bit about X-Men.
Yeah.
I know stuff like this has happened before.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too kind of thrown about.
Okay.
Actually, my mind started immediately going to what it was. And I wasn't far off. I was kind of excited. So.
Okay. So, I mean, honestly, we just start finding out. Well, the real reason, the whole thing is that Jean Grey, there's 2 Jean Greys.
Yep.
And one doesn't remember her past. One's been there for God knows how long with the X-Men.
Yep.
When did this happen? When did it occur? How long has it been? We don't know, right? We don't know.
They left it very much open.
Yeah, we just don't know. And again, if you watch the trailer, or not trailer, the start of the intro, if you notice that Jean Grey's hair is different compared to episode 1 and 2 now.
Yep, I did catch that. So it is actually back to the original series hairstyle. So that's the difference. If you go back and watch episode 1 and 2, hairstyle is the new hairstyle. And then episode 3, the original hairstyle from the original animation series, which is really cool.
Yep.
And I've noticed now that you've said that, because usually I'm the type of person, I'll watch the intro like once, maybe twice, and then I just skip through it. In all the animes and stuff, like One Piece, I'll watch it when they change the seasons. I'll watch the new one when it updates.
Yep.
But I generally don't watch the opening intro every single time. Roast me if you want.
I don't either, but I started watching them just because there's new things and there's Easter eggs now, which to me, like you said, the whole thing is that I skip the intro because it's the same intro every single time, right?
Yep.
What Marvel has done and what I really like now is that there's different videos in the intro to make you watch the intro. How do we get the user to watch it from 0.01 to all the way to the end, right?
Exactly.
Damn, Marvel.
Every single intro is different. So I didn't mention that. We didn't mention that the first few 2 episodes.
Yep.
Every single intro is somehow, some way different, and it somehow in some way affects or comes into play throughout the episode you're watching.
Yep.
And,
So it's just so it's crazy, right? So going deep and dive into, she wakes up, right?
Yep.
Again, Beast is there
doing tests.
doing tests, has no clue what's going on. Mind you, Nathan has been born
Yep.
with the clone of Jean Grey.
You ruined it. We didn't mention the clone yet.
What do you mean?
We didn't mention it yet. We didn't bring it up.
No, it's two different people.
Yeah, but we didn't say it right yet.
Yeah, listen, you haven't watched episode 3. What are you doing here, bro?
It's very true.
What are you doing here anyways,
Very
right?
true, very true.
Okay, so, okay, but anyways, we're talking about, we understand that she's a clone, right?
Yep.
The whole point is that Nathan Richards has been born with the opposite, with the clone of Jean Grey.
Yep.
So, my thing is that, okay, she's waking up, and they are battling the other Jean Grey,
Who's gone crazy?
who's gone crazy.
Not really willingly gone crazy, but
She really doesn't understand what's going on.
yeah. And I will say this, so far out of 5 episodes, this has been my favorite part of the whole series. This combat scene inside the X Mansion, by far, like the horror tropes, the very Cthulhu-esque creatures coming in, the house just disappearing, moving around. It's very much a horror scene.
Yeah.
Like it is. I'm terrified to know what kids and how they took it.
Well, I think this is probably the craziest episodes that I've seen besides, the first 2. It's crazy because of the animation style.
Yeah.
It's very like horror type of esque vibes now, right?
Yep.
And I was enjoying it because so Jean Grey's going crazy. She doesn't know what's going on. But then the other one, I think she's still knocked out, right? Is she still knocked out, or she just wakes up?
Jean Grey?
Yeah, the original.
The original, she is, during the whole sequence, she is knocked out. And as we're going through the house, and each individual X-Men is dealing with their own horror, because it seems to be catered to each one. I mean, if you think about like Gambit going into the room with Rogue and Magneto just going at it.
Right.
And then, what's his name? Morph and Logan dealing with Logan. So every single instance of what they're dealing with is personalized to them.
Yep.
And they're trying to figure out what's going on. They have no idea how Sinister, because they know it's Sinister at this point, is able to control this from this magnitude.
Right.
And that's when they connect. It's the clone.
And the thing is, like, how long has it been since Sinister actually cloned Jean Grey, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's...
And so when we're getting to the episode of the clone of Jean Grey is very upset because she doesn't know what's going on. She's in the bedroom crying before everything takes over, right? She's in the bedroom crying. She's waiting for it because they had a fight with her and Cyclops. They had a fight, right? And she's holding her baby Nathan. And while Beast is performing tests, he's realizing something's wrong. Like, something's going on.
And I think he realizes what it is before they actually tell the audience what it is. Because this is a good tie back. I did read Cliff Notes on the comics and who the character was, the clone was.
Yep.
So I read into her backstory and how much she's actually been around.
Yep.
And it seems like they did a good job of describing the comics of her just wanting to be loved for who she was.
Yep.
And not just this clone of Jean Grey.
Well, yeah. So, she's crying and she's holding Nathan. And then Beast, as you can tell, right, he understands, like, what's going on before the whole audience does. But he's like, oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Right? And it was like, what's going on? And then we flash and then skip the scene, goes to straight her holding the baby. And then she's so mad that Sinister comes out and she goes, who are you? Like, she doesn't know. And then he just snaps.
Yep.
And there's a little diamond on her forehead that turns from green to red for Sinister. And then she just flips her switch.
Yep.
And for her, she's now demonstrating who she actually is based off Sinister's view, right? How he wanted to build Jean Grey.
Yep.
The whole thing is that she's over here affecting, like we said, Wolverine, Morph, the messed up scene with Gambit and Rogue and Mysterio.
That was actually
Magneto.
So if you're enjoying Fallout right now, that gave me very much Fallout vibes from the world, because there is a character, and I forget his name, but he's basically a tree.
Okay.
And he has the very same kind of art style in game. You can find him in the first 2 Fallouts, which I don't recommend playing for you. Unless you like really like turn-based, very like grindy text-based games, you're not gonna like this game.
Right.
But he is in Fallout 3, which is one of the first-person shooter RPGs that we get, and it's disturbing.
Okay.
What's happening?
And if you guys want to find out more about Fallout, we're actually doing a recap of Fallout series.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Just launched yesterday, I believe, is when the series launched.
There you go.
We are recording that soon, and we'll be getting it uploaded as well.
There you go. So, but yeah, no, 100%. I think that the whole scene was just crazy, right? Horror vibes, everything. And this is where she takes on the Goblin Queen.
Yep.
She becomes the Goblin Queen and just she goes with Dr. Sinister and she brings in Nathan.
Unwillingly. Still the entire time unwilling. And I think this plays a key part in this episode is the very fact that she's very much unwilling.
Yep.
Let's not stray away from that. She's not a bad character innately right now. I think in the comics she's always been an antagonist. But she's not a bad character.
Yep. So she brings them with them, right? And the whole purpose, the whole entire time that she was there, the whole purpose of Dr. Sinister was not her. It was to birth a mutant. It was to birth Nathan.
Yep.
And actually steal his powers to make a different mutant.
Yep. Because right now, Jean Grey's supposedly the strongest mutant to have ever lived.
Yep. And we find out that, right? It's like, but at the same time, now Magneto and the X-Men have to come and battle the Goblin Queen.
Yep.
Which for me, that was pretty epic because that was the first time I've seen Magneto just almost lose to someone in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about all the supposedly, right, the most powerful mutant right now there exists, right? And you have to battle the clone.
Yeah, which is identical
with Sinister's powers.
Yeah,
right.
I think they set it up really good. I think they built I've said this time and time again. X-Men does a really good job of saying a narrative, a small in-episode narrative that start to finish. There's a small story and relate it to the overarching story. I don't know how they do it so freaking well. This is like the best show that does mini stories that lead and build into big stories. But X-Men's got it down.
Right.
This is another one. And it's every single episode, you're just entranced in what's going on.
Right. 100%. It's like the comics. It's like reading the comics all over again. It's like, so what I want to do is take us to the big screen right here. And I want to show you guys, big screen. I want to show you guys so Dr. Sinister's in the laboratory with Nathan, right?
Yep.
And he's just in a little tube. And he's like, I'm going to clone him, whatever he's going to do. He's ready to steal Nathan's powers. And I'm not a parent. You're not a parent.
Nope.
But think of it this, right? Growing up, most of our generation grew up watching X-Men watching X-Men, right?
X-Men, yeah.
Just X-Men. Now,
some of us are going back and watching it.
Yeah, we were kids. So that we didn't see Nathan as a kid back in the original X-Men. We just seen Cable.
Yep.
Now, as our generation has gotten older, it's been many years now. X-Men 97's here. Now, as parents, the parents are now watching the kid of Cable.
Yep.
Right? So baby Cable, basically. And as a parent, now it hits differently. Because growing up, you were like, man, this is so cool. Now you're like, oh, man, poor kid.
It's like you started feeling for them on a different level. I think this show is definitely not made for kids.
Yep.
It is definitely made for our generation that watched it originally, who grew up with it, and because there's a lot of adult themes.
Yep.
There are so many adult themes in this show. It is not made for kids.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's very catered towards our generation.
Yep.
And so again, going back to the kid and the lab and all this, they're fighting and everything, right? Now, what I liked is that they actually were able to obviously defeat the Goblin Queen, right?
With the help of Jean, who is now woken up.
With the help of Jean, woken up. She still doesn't remember everything.
Nope.
But she still knows that there has to be something out there for her.
Definitely pulled a Luke Skywalker astral projecting herself into that fight.
Yeah. Like, what was that, dude?
Yeah, she wasn't using, by the way, it's Cerebro.
Yep.
We said Cerebral in episode one.
Okay. See, it's Cerebro.
I trusted him. Don't hate on me. The X-Man over here.
I have Dr. Doom on right now, dude. I don't know what to tell you, man. I have Fantastic Four on, brother.
But yeah, so it's Cerebro.
Yep.
So she wasn't even using Cerebro.
Yep.
She was just herself and her powers projecting into that fight.
Yep.
And really standing toe to toe with the Goblin Queen.
You know what? And not to stray off too much about this, but you know what that reminds me of? What's her name from One Piece that does it with the hands? Robin.
Robin, yeah.
Yeah, when she gets that big one. And spoiler alert: if you guys haven't watched One Piece, go watch it. And what are you doing if you haven't already?
I mean, it's been out for
it's been out for
20 years,
25 years now.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing?
Your fault at this point.
Your fault at this point. But yeah, so that reminded me of that. And so going back, they defeat her, right? They defeat Sinister.
Yep.
But before they defeat Sinister, the poor kid is infected with a virus.
Yeah, interesting art style choice for that too, by the way.
That reminded me a lot about with like Naruto and Sasuke. If you guys watch Naruto, but we're going back to anime. Yeah. Sasuke, when he gets the curse mark, when he first gets the curse mark, it's all over his body. Half his face is covered up, and it looked very curse mark-esque.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's fun seeing connections to other shows.
Yeah.
It's fun seeing how true they stated the source material, but still find a way to connect it in our day and age, which is hard to do.
Yeah, yep. And again, going back to anime, it's like those are all growing up watching One Piece, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z. Like it's all inspired by all the original animes.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about anime is specifically not a Western animation.
Yeah,
it is definitely Eastern animation style made for adults.
Yep.
And us in the West, I think the closest we've got to what we would call anime is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
But now we're getting so much good shows. And I don't know how we went from the time period of like the late 90s with Treasure Planet, with a lot of these Pixar movies that were just Atlantis, way beyond their time.
Yep.
How we went from that to what we have in the 2000s and 2010s.
Yeah.
But I'm happy we're getting back to the right track.
We're getting there, man. We're getting there. And again, X-Men 97 is a step in the right direction.
Yep.
Step in the right direction after flop from Secret Invasion from Marvel. Marvel has not.
Hear me out. I enjoyed Secret Invasion.
I don't. I think Marvel has been flopping lately. I think with Captain Marvel, now Secret Invasion, their shows have been flopping. Too much is too.
I might just be Emilia Clarke fan.
Yeah.
I like Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, no, not my vibe. But it's okay. We're getting back on track.
Yeah.
We're getting back on track. And again, they defeat the Goblin Queen. They defeat Dr. Sinister, supposedly. You know.
Yeah. It's like saying you defeated Sidious.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Sinister's always there, no matter what. Which I didn't know a backstory. Sinister actually, the reason he's like that is because he was so obsessed with mutants that he took mutant power from all these individuals and made himself a damn mutant.
Almost like the opposite of Rogue. As Rogue character. Rogue unintentionally did it. Didn't want to do it, but could. Sinister couldn't. Learned how to do it, and it's very intentionally stealing. It's like All for One and One for All. Going on right now.
We're going back to anime. See,
so many ties to it.
So it's like, again, so we're going back to the mansion, right? And again, they are all worried about what's going on with the baby. Everyone. And the big thing is like Scott, which is Cyclops, is also married to the clone of Jean Grey. But also,
wasn't he married to Jean Grey herself, or were they just dating?
How long has that been?
Yeah,
we don't know the answer to that. When did the original Jean Grey disappear? When did it happen? We got a flashback of when we got her memories back and how it happened, but we never knew when she actually disappeared. So was he married to her this whole time?
I need to go back and watch the original show and just to pull up the last few episodes and see what the hairstyle is. And see if this has been in planning for 20 some years, because if this has been in planning for that long,
I highly doubt it.
I would be mind blown though.
Yeah, I highly doubt that, but that'll be.
I will say Kevin just leading not only X-Men and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but what they're doing with Star Wars and all that.
Yeah.
Disney has been hitting
Disney or Disney?
Disney and Eddie. they have been hitting right now.
Yep.
It's home run after a home run with these shows, live action and animated. There's besides Secret Invasion, which you didn't like, but I did.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
I don't think they've missed out on the shows.
I don't know.
I think She-Hulk was a hit or miss, but
She-Hulk was definitely a miss for me.
I do like the tie-in to Daredevil though. That was nice.
That was the only great thing about She-Hulk. Like,
very true. Very true.
So, but yeah, listen, going back to it, right? Is that now they're worried about Nathan and his infection that he has, and the only way to save him is to bring him to the future with Bishop.
Yep.
As we end off the episode, Scott has a hard time giving up his child, his only child.
Yeah.
And for him, it's either let him stay here and die, or take him to the future where there's a 9 chances out of 10 that he will survive. And the reason Bishop's there can't be a coincidence because Bishop's there.
Yep.
Like, Bishop can't tell you what's happening in the future because it will affect the past.
And the fact that there is a time travel device that has a one use and can only take Cable with him, Nathan with him.
Yep.
Like,
right.
That's not really explained that well of why that is.
Yeah. As we all know, like, again, we know who Cable is. We understand that he survived because he is Cable, right? Yep. But just that moment of connection of how he started, where he got the virus from, because we never got the explanation where he actually got the virus from. We knew he got infected with it, but where did it come from? And it was now Dr. Sinister. So now Scott has to bear the grief of not only did he marry a clone, but also gave his only son away. Like, that man is going through it right now.
Yeah. And they play a lot into that too, where he is very much on board of never letting his son grow up without a father.
Yep. Because he grew up without a father.
Yep.
Now his son has to grow up without a father. But
it's one of those instances where your son's going to die, or you can never see your son again. And Bishop's still with him. You can trust Bishop to be a fatherly figure taking him into the future. So he's not alone.
Yep.
He just doesn't have you. So what's more important for your kid?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So at that point, he had to let him go, right? He sacrificed that internal sacrifice of, I have to let him go because he will survive. If he doesn't stay here, he's gonna die.
Yep.
Or if he does stay here, he's gonna die. So we see the episode end off with Bishop taking Cable or Nathan to the future, going in. We don't know what's happening, and then at the end of the episode, after that, is where Jean Grey and the clone of Jean Grey come face to face as friendly people, parting ways. But we are no longer referencing the clone of Jean Grey, nor is she the Goblin Queen.
Nope.
She is now
Madeline Pryor.
Yep. Madeline Pryor. And we think that this will be the last time we ever see Madeline. But as we know in comics, we never see a lot of characters.
They keep bringing her back every 2 to 4 years somehow.
Hey, same way with other characters. That's a beauty about being in the multiverse and X-Men and Marvel, that even if a character just dies, we can bring him some way back, way, shape, or form. No clue.
Yeah, very true. I don't know. I have a whole thing about death with me too. I think death has to be important. I think killing off characters just to kill off characters or narratives is dumb. I hate it.
Oh, you were talking about actual death, or I thought you were talking about the actual character death.
No, actual character death.
Okay.
So like, if they would have just killed off the Goblin Queen, that would have been a dumb death. Wouldn't have had any impact on the story.
Yep.
You know, besides not staying true to the comics, deaths have to mean something. And I think that's what we see with the death of Charles Xavier. Yep. Even going from the original animation to this, it's had such a profound effect on all of them. It is leading up to all the events kind of happening right now. It's because Charles isn't here.
Yep. Who knows? Who knows what can happen?
I don't know, man.
I don't know either, but I'm excited for the next episode.
Yeah, I feel like, this was the one episode we didn't talk a lot about the episode itself and more of what's going on.
Yep.
even though it's my favorite episode to visually watch.
Yeah.
It was funny. And it's really just that one scene in the house that I loved. I will go back and watch that multiple times.
Yeah. I think that's what's great about these type of shows is like you guys already watched the episodes already. You guys aren't here, you know, we don't have to need to re-explain what you just seen, right? We just want to make sure that you guys understand from our perspective what we think of the episode and just a breakdown pretty much.
And maybe we're the episode we see it going.
Yeah.
I mean, poor Scott. Scott's just being used as a punching bag every episode.
Yeah.
This man keeps getting knocked down and knocked down and knocked down again.
Hey, man. I can do this all day type of vibes, similar to Captain America, you know? So,
yeah, very much true.
So,
all right. Well, I think that's, unless you've got something else about this episode you want to go over. I think we hit it.
That's it. I think we hit everything that we need to hit on, the more important factors of the episode.
Yeah, I think it was a lot more fight scenes than necessarily narrative in this one.
Yep.
Which was more fan service.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, until the next episode, stay tuned for episode 4 breakdown.
Yep.
Probably coming out the week after this episode. So
X-Men 97.
That's out.
Like, comment, subscribe.